Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I'm joined by my crafty Betsy again from Houston, and for our monthly challenge. And this month we were kind of a little bit late. I've been busy. And so we last minute decided, yep, we got to do a Christmas card. So our challenge was a Z fold or a Z fold Christmas card because it's Betsy's favorite style of card. And so let me show you mine and then I'll show you Betsy's. So I have been wanting to do this style of card for a long time. And I just have never done it, and I've been meaning to. And so I didn't really create the challenge with this in mind, but afterwards I decided, oh, that's perfect time to do it. So here's my Z fold Christmas card. And it opens up, and I've got layers there. So my ornaments are kind of hanging down from the top.
Oh, wow.
Which is really what I wanted to do. And just that kind of, tone on tone with the white and the gold.
Mm-hmm. That is stunning, Miss Lori. I don't want to show mine now.
So that's my Christmas card. I am so happy with it. So Betsy, let's see what you've made.
Well, it's a little
no. Let's see. It's gorgeous.
Okay, well here's mine.
I love this because
of the placement of the paper with the Santa right down
perfect.
Here. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I know I covered up the paper, and people are saying, but you covered up the beautiful paper. But this is where I'm going to stamp something here that's, Christmassy, and then this is where I want to write my sentiment. But this to me is what's so pretty is right here.
I love that paper, and perfect placement.
And this was an oldie but a goodie. It was one of these. I got it back in 2020 from Crafter's Companion. It was like a set of 6 different ones, different sayings, and this one was just perfect to go with the paper because it was have yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
I love those sentiments. They were called stacked words, I think is what they were called, because I have them as well, and they have the Christmas ones and the everyday ones. And then is the stamping the holly behind, was that part of that same stamp set?
It was. Well, you had to buy it separate, but you got 3 of them. It was this one, the holly set. I used this one, but there's also this one. And then there was also this one. And those came, you had to purchase them separately, and I'm glad I did because, again, they're not
those
in
are really
existence
pretty
anymore. But I love those. I love the sentiments. So it's so easy to do. You just randomly stamp. I think I put this on a little bit crooked, my Mary. That's what happens when you're trying to film and you don't have the card like this so that you can see the placement. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't think anyone that gets this will send it back.
I don't think so. No, I love having that holly stamped behind. I'm going to have to look and see if I'm sure I must have bought those stamps. I don't know where they are.
You probably did.
I probably did. But because that's really nice. I like that. So anyway. Really fun. That's our Christmas card for the month, and hope you enjoy those. If you hold on, we'll show you some short videos on how we made both of those cards. So thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Betsy coming to you from the Gulf Coast. Our challenge this month was to make a Christmas Z fold card, which is my absolutely favorite kind of card to make because it lets you showcase all your beautiful papers. So here are the supplies that I used to make my card. First, I'm going to start with the paper. It's the 12 by 12 Crafter's Companion Night Before Christmas. I used some Stampin' Up! Cherry Cobbler. And I have an oldie but a goodie set that I used, and this was back in 2020, so it's an old set from Crafter's Companion. I chose the Mary, and then of course I used the foliage stamps that you stamp with. I used for the stamps, I used Cherry Cobbler, Garden Green, Mossy Meadow, Crumb Cake, and Pear Pizzazz from the Stampin' Up! Collection. So let's get started. So first you're going to have a 12 by 6 card base. You're going to score it at the 6, and then you're going to score it at the 3, and then you're going to fold it back. And this is what makes the Z fold. I absolutely love this card. And for the papers, again, I'm using the Night Before Christmas, and I chose this one because it's got the Santa at the very bottom, and I just love this one. So the red paper is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and the pattern paper is 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. So let's put it together. All right, that looks good. And so I leave this blank, but on this side, I've got some red cardstock, and this one is 2 3/4, 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and then the pattern paper, which is the back side of this, is 5 1/2 by 2 1/2. All right, so there, isn't that gorgeous? I just love that with the Santa right there. So now I've got one of the Crafter's Companion nesting dies, and I think this is the second to largest one. And all I did was, just simply cut it out with my Gemini 2. And that's going to be for the inside. But again, this is just cut out with the nesting die, and this is what's going to go on the front. Now, when I told you that we were using, and I went ahead and stamped this ahead of time. So I've got the foliage right here that all I did was just random stamp. I think I used this one, this one, this one, and this one. And all I did was just random stamp because it's going to be covered up. So it doesn't matter what it looks like. And I chose the stamp set that came with this, and it says, have yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And my tip for cutting this out is die cut it first and then stamp. If you stamp it first and try to die cut, you're going to have a really hard time getting this even. Trust me, I've tried to do that before. So again, I just did some random stamping. I placed my Mary down there so I could kind of get an idea of where I wanted the stamps to go. And then I'm simply I've already put it on the foam tape. So you can still see all the little stamping that I did around it. Now all we're going to do is attach this to here. And what I'm going to do with this other white piece is this is where I'm going to stamp a sentiment and I'm going to write my message inside. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to make sure that I lay it directly on top of this. So let me get my Colorado glue out. I don't know what sentiment I'm going to stamp inside, so I'm not going to stamp it. I'm just going to leave it blank. But I'm going to put it inside, and I'm just going to slide it in there so that it's even, so that you can't see it until you open it up. And I know that covers up your paper, but you can't see it when it's closed. And I want to have a place to put my sentiment. So there you go. That's my Z-Fold Christmas card. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.
So for this month's challenge, we agreed to do a Z-Fold Christmas card. So here's my basic card. It's 6 by 6, so it's 6 by 12, scored at 3 and at 6. And that creates your fold back. So I'm just going to give that a good burnish. And I've got mats and layers to go on that. And you can see I cut out of those because it's not going to show. And then I've got a white shimmer card with a gold undertone and then a gold matte layer. And these were embossed with a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. It's the 3D embossing folder of the month from July 2024. And I'm just going to mat these. I've got 3 by 6 pieces to go on each of these, and then a 6 by 6 to go on there. So let me glue that up, and then I'll come back and show you the rest of the card. Okay, so there's the basics of my card. It's a fold back card. Then to create your Z-fold, you need another piece of card and this one is 1.5 by 12. And I didn't actually have a 12-inch piece of that shimmer card, so I pieced it. So you can see that this is 8.5, and then I cut another piece that's about 5, and I just glued it on the back to make it the full 12 inches. And it's not going to matter because I'm going to put a matte layer over the top, and that's going to go. Normally with a Z-fold, you'd put that at the bottom like that, but I'm going to put it at the top. Okay, so it's going to go up here at the top, not all the way, but kind of even with my top kind of cream layer. I'm going to glue it on there. So to do that, you glue, so it's 1.5 by 12, again scored at 3 and 6, but instead of going this way, you're going to flip it around to go that way. And then I'm going to put glue on this piece and this piece. But just right there. Do not put glue anywhere else. And then you're going to put it down where you want it. Let me get it even at the top where I want it. Like that. And then we're just going to hold that down and let that glue dry. In the meantime, I've got little matted pieces, or pieces that are 6 by 1.5 and 3 by 1.5 that are going to cover up, that I'm going to put on top of there. And I ran these also through the embossing folder, and that's going to go on top. And that's why I said it's not going to matter that you piece that. But before I put those on, I've got some other things to go on. So those are going to go on later. Okay. Now I've got my Z fold. Now for this card, I wanted a second layer. So I cut a piece of card that's 4 by 1 inch, and I scored 1/2 inch on each side. And it's going to go right in here. And actually, nope, it'll fit. It's going to go right in here, just kind of in the middle. And that will still shut, but it'll give me another layer to put stuff on. And the way I always fold them, sort of one forward and one back. And then you're going to put glue on the tabs, on each of the tabs. And then you put it in where you want it. And this is the way I do it. I just kind of get it where I want it, and then I close it up to make sure that it's going to go flat. And then I just hold it. Now you can measure it if you want, but if you don't care about it being exactly in the perfectly in the middle, this is just the easiest way I found to do it. And now when you open, see, you've got that second layer of pop out to put stuff on. Okay, now it's just about decorating. So I've got a sentiment. This is, and I cut it out of the white shimmer card and out of gold, and then I just kind of gave me a little bit of a drop shadow. And this is a Crafter's Companion sentiment die I got from HSN 2 years ago. It was it was like a 3-pack of large sentiments. I can't remember what it was called. And I'm going to put that on the inside of my card. I've got a bunch of ornaments, and I cut these. This is from the Frosty and Bright collection. It's called Beautiful Baubles. And I cut them in white and in gold, and I did that little drop shadow. And I'm going to put these kind of hanging from the top. That's why I put this strip on the top instead of on the bottom. Okay. And I cut these are just little 1/2 inch strips of construction weight acetate, and they're like 3 or 4 inches long. They're just scraps that I had. And I'm going to start by putting one on this inside layer. And because it's acetate, I'm going to do a little bit of a tape pen and some glue. And I'm just going to decide where I want that. And I'm going to put it on the back side of that tab. That center right here. Okay, so it's right here on the back side. And I put it on the back side so that it wouldn't show from the front. Not that it's really going to matter. And then I'm going to connect my bauble, whichever one I want, onto that acetate. And I think I'll use one of the shorter ones so it's not overlaying the sentiment so much. And I'm just going to glue that onto that acetate. Okay, just like that. And actually, when it's open, it's not going to show, so I'll go ahead and use this one. right like that. Okay. So to get that on there, I'm going to use my Dottie tape pen and some glue. I'll just use the glue that's on my hand still. And I'm going to get it right on that acetate, right like that. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same thing with one on the front. Okay, now that's all the baubles I'm going to put on acetate. You can see I put this one on the back, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my matte layers on top to cover up that acetate. And then I'm going to add my last baubles just on the top layer, like so. And then a couple last things. I've got some little gold bows that are going to go on the top of each of my baubles. Like that. And then for this one, I don't want it to look like it's just hanging in free space. So it needs to have some sort of like a little ribbon or something to connect it. So I'm going to connect it with a string of pearls, these little pearls. And that's my card, all done. A little Z-fold Christmas card with hanging ornaments or baubles, whatever you want to call them, coming down. Just kind of a tone-on-tone, white and gold, very classy look. So, love that. 6x6 card. Thanks for watching our challenge this month.